I had to start another stream. I'm going to start this with 0 viewers, but that's fine in my opinion. That works. Well, the Giants are about to draft, so we're going to talk. We're going to talk a little bit about the Giants, in my opinion. Who should they select? So let's look at their depth chart. I think that's a good idea of selecting anyone. You need to look at who you need, and who you want to get. And I think there's a lot of positions that they could use. For instance, the quarterback position, not one of need really right now. Daniel Jones is a very solid quarterback, and I think you need to buy into this whole Daniel Jones experiment if you really want your team to make the playoffs next year, what I think the Giants have a chance of doing. Running back, you don't need a new guy. Saquon Barkley is an absolute GOAT. He's a Chad. He's an absolute legend at running back. At wide receiver, we have Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, John Ross, all very solid players, not to mention Dante Pettis. I like all these guys. I don't know if you need a wide receiver right now. That's why the Giants traded down. And the big question is the offensive line. I think the offensive line could use a guy like Christian Barmore. Christian Barmore would be very, very... I know. I don't know what the heck happened with the live stream. I guess I ran out of time. I guess if I schedule a live stream, I only have 2.5 hours. But I don't know what the heck happened. But I think the real thing you need to worry about here is protecting Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones needs to be protected if you want to buy into this whole Daniel Jones thing. You need to protect the guy, and it's not happening with the current offensive line, which is why I would absolutely love Christian Darrisaw. Christian Darrisaw is one of my favorite players. Beautiful. He's a great left tackle from Virginia Tech. And the fact that he slipped this far is honestly, it's a shame. It's an absolute shame. He is a great, great player. But let's talk about what the Giants really need. They kind of need a lot of different positions, in my opinion. The defensive line, I think, is fine. Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams and Danny Shelton, they all work. All those players work very well on the defensive line. The pick of Austin Johnson, I feel like I think he was already there, but Austin Johnson's also a very solid depth player. The big problem, in my opinion, is linebacker. And I think that's a problem for a lot of different teams, but I think a linebacker is a huge problem for the Giants, right? I think that's why Jeremiah would work absolutely perfectly. I would take either. I would take either Darrisaw or a linebacker like Jeremiah Owusu, something. But look at these starters: Lorenzo Carter, Reggie Ragland, Blake Martinez, Ifaye Odingibo. I don't know how the heck to pronounce that guy's name. There's also I don't know about you. I would like to sign a different guy. I mean, Reggie Ragland and Blake Martinez are both decent starting linebackers. But I think you need a new guy. I think you need a guy to rejuice the program. That corner, I feel like you're good. I honestly do. James Bradbury is a very underrated corner, in my opinion. You have Adoree Jackson, who's also very solid, and Julian Love was a great slot corner last year, nickelback. Jabril Peppers and Logan Ryan are both very good. And safety spots, and Xavier McKinney is also very good at safety. I think, honestly, the defense, I would like to focus most of my attention. By the way, I don't know, if you Penn State fans would like to point out, Carter Coughlin. I don't know if you noticed that. Carter Coughlin's a Penn Stater. He is a Penn Stater that rarely saw playing time, honestly. Actually, dang it, no. He's not a Penn Stater. I could swear to God that Carter Coughlin was a Penn Stater. But maybe I'm wrong. I swear to God, Carter Coughlin reminds me of some name. Maybe I'm messing something. Well, I think if you're the Giants, you got to draft a linebacker or an offensive lineman to protect Daniel Jones. I understand there's a lot of hesitation about Jones, and I do think some of that is warranted. He has not shown greatness, but I mean, a lot of people were saying the same thing about Josh Allen last year. He has a lot of the things that made Josh Allen great, and I think you got to give him at least one more year. If he doesn't produce this year, I do think you have to yank him, get him out of there, get him out of New York, because you can't have a quarterback that sucks in New York. I think the Giants success is a huge part of the Kadarius Toney, wide receiver from Florida, they drafted. I don't know quite why they drafted a wide receiver when you have Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, John Ross, but I guess can never have too many good receivers. I guess, but it was my last card. So who wants to hear some stats about Kadarius Toney? Just because Kuiper's right about who they draft doesn't mean that he's right about whether they're good or not. I mean, Kuiper had so many people ranked ahead of Jonathan Taylor at running back. And Jonathan Taylor is easily the best running back in the NFL. In the NFL, that was a rookie last year. I mean, outside of James Robinson. It's not quite an easy comparison. But in 2017, we had Kadarius Toney had. Well, actually, we're going to start with the basic facts about Kadarius Toney. He is 6 foot, 193 pounds, and 22 years old. In 2017, he had 15 receptions for 152 yards and 0 touchdowns. 2018, he improved that with 25 receptions, 260 yards, and 1 touchdown. In 2019, again. But you don't want to hear stats about Toney. Well, too bad. The stats for Toney are coming. He had 10 catches, 194 yards, and 1 touchdown. And in 2020, this was obviously his best season. He had 70 catches for 984 yards and 10 touchdowns. Last card. So no more stats. I said best rookie running back in the NFL. I'm not high. Obviously, you just weren't listening to me, so what the heck's wrong with you? I'm mad. Jonathan Taylor is the best rookie running back in the NFL. I don't know how you dispute that. I mean, who do you think is better? DeAndre Swift? J.K. Dobbins? Definitely not. Cam Akers? No. I'd say he's the best rookie running back. I mean, maybe I think you could make an argument for James Robinson, but outside of that, no. Jonathan Taylor is the best. Jonathan Taylor is the best. I won't back away from that. He's the best rookie running back in the NFL. Okay, let's watch some. We're gonna watch some Kadarius Toney highlights. Kadarius Toney. Let's watch some Kadarius Toney. So we basically only have 4, but we're gonna watch it. 23-19. This is a beautiful, beautiful play. He got great separation. Toney is a very fast receiver, and I think that he's one of my favorites. He is one of my favorites in the. I don't understand everyone's fascination with him though. I do think he's a great receiver, but I don't understand why everyone's overlooking Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore. I have to provide. So I'm not going to watch all these things and then not share them with you. I mean, come on. It's a waste of my time then. I think this shows what I think he can do in the NFL I think he can I love people who can run. Like Curtis Samuel is one of my favorite receivers right now in the NFL because of his ability to run the ball. Just straight up run it. He can receive a handoff and just run this ball. So I think that's something that Kadarius Toney has that not a lot of other people can that have that to offer. I mean, Rondale Moore is the only player I can think of that does that. This is a bad play, but this is one of his bad plays. Wait, did I click on the right? Oh wait, no. None of the plays that Kadarius Toney had were bad or anything. There were no bad plays that Kadarius Toney had that I felt like that's a beautiful throw. I believe if Kyle Trask is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the draft class, and I'm not gonna lie. It's a beautiful throw, but it's also a great catch. I can't say that enough. Kadarius Toney is one of my favorite wide receivers in the draft. We're gonna watch one more highlight, Soph, and then you can stop complaining. Okay? You know what? We're gonna show you one more highlight just because this is what Kadarius Toney does. That's a good catch, and he's gonna try so hard to get in the sense of that. That's not a fumble, by the way. That ends up him being down at the 1 yard line. But that's why I love Kadarius Toney. He just has an amazing speed. He is amazingly quick. You know what? Toney is not overrated. Oh, I mean, I kind of agree. Like, I kind of agree. It's like I think he's very good. I think he's a very solid receiver. I think he will have a good future in the NFL. But I don't love his. I should say this. I don't love the fact that he's rated above Rondale Moore. I think Rondale Moore is going to be an amazing receiver. He is phenomenal. He is lights out. He is great. He's so fast, and I don't understand how people are overlooking that. He is the fastest receiver in the draft. He's so quick. He is the quickest receiver in the draft. He is insanely fast. I just there's so many things to love about Rondale Moore's game, and I don't understand how people didn't love it. It's such great, 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 great. It's great. He's a great receiver, and I really am excited to see where he ends up next year. No, well, not next year. Where he ends up now. I'm excited to see where he ends up. Here we go. We're going to look at the Indianapolis Colts, see who they could draft. They could definitely use an offensive tackle. And I don't understand how this guy hasn't been drafted yet. I don't know how the Virginia Tech guy, Christian Darrisaw, has not been drafted. He is amazingly good. But I think this Colts team definitely has a chance of going very far next year. You have Carson Wentz. If you get the Carson Wentz from his first 2 years in Indy, I don't know if you have a better quarterback in the NFL. Jonathan Taylor is amazing. Not to mention you have depth like Marlon Mack and Nyheim Hines. Great, great stuff for Jonathan Taylor to work with. Then you have a wide receiver. I think you could use, honestly, a wide receiver would not be a dumb pick for the Colts here. Obviously, you have Michael Pittman. He's a very good young receiver, but honestly, Paris Campbell and Zach Pascal has been nothing but disappointments for those Colts fans. And T.Y. Hilton is going to be gone in a couple years. It's true. Maybe even not a couple years, a year. I think a wide receiver would not be a dumb pick. Left tackle, though, I think Christian Darrisaw should be the favorite to pick here. I think you should pick him. Defensive line could also use some help. So Kwity Paye would not be a dumb pick to go with here. Kwity Paye's a very good, solid defensive lineman. Corner, I don't understand. They're like everyone's thinking the Colts don't have good corners. Xavier Rhodes, Kenny Moore, Rock Ya-Sin, and TJ Carey are all very solid corners. I don't think the corners are a big need here. I don't think the defense is in big need. Defensive lines obviously could use some help with Justin Houston walking. But you could honestly, you could use some help in the defensive line and then offensive line, and I'd say receiver. I think those are the 3 positions you need to address here, and I think they're going to end up picking Christian Darrisaw. Who they pick? Kwity Paye. Okay, he was on my list. I honestly think that he's going to add some much-needed depth to that Colts defensive line. I think you're gonna end up seeing him start over Alquan Muhammad or Tyquan Lewis. You just get a better rusher from the outside, and that's what Justin Houston provided them last year. And I really think Rondale Moore is not slower than Parsons. You're just I think Kwity Paye is decent. I honestly, I'm not. Never mind. I'm not going to get upset. So I'm not behind. I said I was talking about Kwity Paye before, and that he was selected before you even typed that in. So I'm not behind. I don't believe so. I mean, I think there's a little bit of a lag. Little bit of a lag. It's not my fault though. I can't change anything because it's from my computer to your phone up in Pennsylvania. And I mean, even the phone to Derek, there's a little bit of a lag. But I can't change that. I mean, I have no control over whether my parents get better internet or not. I would like to get better internet. But again, I'm not going to have a say unless I start making cash off of YouTube. So, yeah. So, let's talk about the Titans. Titans real quick. Who do they need? I think desperately defense. Defense should definitely be a top priority for them. We're going to look at them real quick. let's go to Tennessee Titans. We're going to go down their depth chart and see who they need to draft. At quarterback, you have Ryan Tannehill. Not really in need of another quarterback. Backup later in the later rounds would not be a stupid idea for the Tennessee Titans because Logan Woodside is not the ideal backup quarterback, but you do you. And also, a depth for Derrick Henry would be smart in the later rounds as well. I wouldn't say no to a wide receiver for the Titans here. Maybe draft a guy, like I said, Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore is a very solid receiver, and I think you could provide another running mate next to A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's great, but Josh Reynolds and Cameron Batson are not ideal running mates for A.J. Brown. Tight end wouldn't be stupid. The guy like Pat Freiermuth here, a lot of people think he's it would be too early for him. I don't think so. I think Pat Freiermuth is one of the better tight ends in the draft. I think he's the second best tight end in the draft class. I don't think that's a debate, but I do think he could be a first round draft pick. Defensive lineman would not be I'm not in love with any of the court. Maybe Gregory Rousseau wouldn't be a bad idea here, but I feel like, yeah, you have Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry back, which is the real reason why you couldn't get pass rush last year was because they were both hurt. You have signed Bud Dupree out of free agency for a reason to provide some pass rush. At corner, I feel like you could use some depth. I think Christian Fulton and Janoris Jenkins are both very solid corners. But defensive tackle wouldn't be a bad idea. But again, I don't think there's enough. Christian is Barmore. I think Barmore could. I think you could use Barmore here, but I don't know. I feel like I feel like it would be a waste of a pick. I honestly do think that. I think it would be a waste of a pick to try to reach on a guy like that. I think offensive line. Oh, let me look at the offensive line. I didn't quite go into full on the offensive line. Kendall Lamb, Taylor Lewin, Roger Saffold, Lamb. You could definitely replace Lamb. I think Darrisaw would be a smart pick here. I vote either Darrisaw or Rondale Moore. Those are my two picks if I'm the Tennessee Titans. That's who I would want personally. I think they're both great players. I think Rondale Moore is the best wide receiver left on here. I don't know if he's going to go first round, but I definitely think he should. I think the way Ryan Tannehill plays, he's not a great runner. He's not a great runner. So, I have a job, so calm the heck down. It's not enough to buy a new internet thing. It's not enough for that. So, I'm not saying that my parents should get a new one, but I'm just saying it's not. I can't do anything about my internet lag. That's just not something I can do. And Pat, I agree with you, Pat Freiermuth. He's one of my favorite players. I love Pat Freiermuth so much. He basically is a baby Gronk. I don't remember the last time Penn State had a bad tight end. I mean, we went from Jesse James to Mike Gesicki to Pat Freiermuth. I think we're just getting better at tight end. It's going to be interesting. I don't know if next year we're going to have a bad tight end or what, but do you calm down, so? Titans have a minute left on the clock. I'm really interested to see what they do here. I think there's a good chance that they take an offensive lineman. I don't think that'd be crazy for them to do. I don't think it'd be insane for the Titans to take a guy offensive line to help protect Tannehill. Tannehill definitely needs someone to protect him because I mean Tannehill's not a fast quarterback. He definitely needs someone that can protect him in the pocket. And then I also think Rondale Moore would be a nice running mate to add to A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown definitely needs a guy to help him out because you're just going to double team him. I mean, if you're not stupid. Yeah, the pick is in, but they haven't announced it yet, right? It's not on CBS Sports. They haven't said it, and it's not on the ESPN website, and it's not on TV. So if they already selected, who'd they pick? I understand the pick is in, but I can still talk about who I think they will select, right? I think so. Tennessee Titans are a team that I think is an interesting team to watch in the future. I think they could be building a team that can go to the Super Bowl in a couple years. I think you definitely need to add a defensive line around. The thing is, I think they have a decent defensive line, defensive pressure with Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry and Bud Dupree. I think they definitely can have some decent pass rush. I think what you need to do is get some wide receivers to pair alongside A.J. Brown, and you need to get a decent offensive line for Tannehill. The problem is, I don't know if Tannehill. I'm not watching anything. I have two different tabs open. I have the draft tracker with CBS Sports, and I have the ESPN draft tracker open along with the TV going, so I can make sure that I'm not too far behind. Just making sure my TV is not it's not stopped behind for some reason, and I don't think it is. But I don't know. The thing is, I think they have a team that could possibly go to the Super Bowl in a couple of years. I just don't know if Tannehill's a quarterback that can get them there. I think Tannehill's a decent starter in the NFL. I think he is a better version of Kirk Cousins. I think he's what the Vikings wanted when they signed Kirk Cousins. But I don't know if the Titans can just get there. I don't know if they can get over that hump to get to the Super Bowl. But I mean, they're making the playoffs every year. I don't know what more else you could ask for if you're a Titans fan. You made it to the AFC Championship a couple years back. Oh, not a couple years back, 2 years ago. Making it seem like a long time ago. No, it was very, very recent. I think Titans are a pretty decent team. And they picked up Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. I really like Caleb Farley. I don't know why you would do that, though, especially with Rondale Moore. They did not take Farley minutes ago. Okay, you're a liar, so liar. If they took it minutes ago when I asked you the question of who'd they take, you would have answered Farley, but you didn't. You didn't answer anything. You answered CBS Sports. What are you watching? So, I beat you. I honestly think Caleb Farley is a very good corner, and I'm actually really disappointed he didn't fall farther. I really wanted my Saints to draft him, but unfortunately for me, my Saints are not going to get a chance to draft him. Yeah. But you're going to add him to a corner room with Christian Fulton, Janoris Jenkins. I think he provides a decent number 3 corner, or even maybe taking over the spot from Christian Fulton. Caleb Farley he's an all-around prospect. He's a great corner. The only question is, will he be ready before the season? And I think that's a decent question to ask. And I think for a team like the Titans, I think you're willing to take that risk, especially since you just want – especially if you just you're open for a team like the Titans. You don't desperately need a new player. I mean, you don't need an immediate impact player. You need a guy that provides depth, especially for the team like the Titans. I would have selected a wide receiver here, especially like Rondale Moore, because I think although my Saints play way later, we still have Vikings, Steelers, Jaguars, Browns, and Ravens to go before I Vikings can't replace Cousins here. There's just not enough. There's not a good enough quarterback. I think let's look at the Minnesota Vikings. I think the defense could definitely use some help. I think you need to add to that defense. It's pretty pathetic. Not gonna lie. I don't think you can replace Kirk Cousins. I think he's played well enough. And if they had stayed, I would have said maybe Mac Jones could replace him. But there's no Mac Jones. There's no Mac Jones here. And the fact is, you're not going to take a quarterback like Kyle Trask to replace Kirk Cousins because he's basically Kirk Cousins, except for there's less of a for sure thing there. You know what Kirk Cousins is. You know what product you're going to get from Kirk Cousins. You don't know that with Kyle Trask. And it's basically just never mind. I think at running back, you have it solid. I mean, Alexander Madison's a very good backup to Dalvin Cook. At wide receiver, you don't need anyone new. I don't know. I disagree there. I think the Vikings pick is in already. Dang, quickly. I think you got to go defense, though. There's still that Jeremiah Owusu something. or other there. And honestly, linebacker is not a strength. Well, actually, Eric Kendricks and Anthony Barr are both pretty good, but Vigil is still around. Greg Newsome wouldn't be a stupid pick here. I mean, Dantzler is not have it cut out to be a starting corner. I just don't know what they believe in Jeff Gladney. They drafted him in the first round last year, but they did not put too much pressure on him to actually play well. So, I mean, it's a decent question to ask is, do they believe in Jeff Gladney? Because I think if you believe in Jeff Gladney, then this pick changes. If you don't believe in Jeff Gladney, then you pick Greg Newsome. If you do believe in Jeff Gladney, you can add to that defensive line with a guy like Gregory Rousseau, who I believe is still on the market. Or Azeez Ojulari. I forgot about Azeez Ojulari. I don't know why I forgot about him. He's a very solid defensive lineman. Well, see, the thing is, you can't draft Kyle Trask here, though. Like, if I would say Mac Jones might be an improvement over Kirk Cousins. I'm saying Mike because he's not. Kirk Cousins, we know what we're going to get from him. I mean, I'm not going to say he's a great quarterback because he's just really not. But we know what we're going to get from Kirk Cousins. We do not know what we're going to get from Kyle Trask. We do not know what we're going to get from Davis Mills, and we do not know what we're going to get from Kellen Mond. And it's just there's too many questions there. Kellen Mond was not astounding throughout most of his career at Texas A&M. He was good last year, but I mean, he got destroyed against Alabama, absolutely owned. But I mean, a lot of teams did. Kyle Trask rose to the occasion against Alabama, but absolutely floundered against a defense that kind of really sucks against LSU. And then you have Davis Mills, and Davis Mills is he's a 1-year starter quarterback. He sat behind KJ Costello for most of his career, and he played in the Pac-12, they play no defense. So I don't know if you can take a quarterback here. Maybe in the second or third, and you provide a quarterback controversy for Cousins to try to push up his game, or maybe even bench him to put in a guy like put in a guy like Kyle Trask, right? You can do that. I think that would make sense. Draft a guy in the second or third round, but it's just too early, and you got such a better player on the defensive side of the ball, or even offensive side of the ball. You can go with a wide receiver here and add him to the receiving core of Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Suddenly you have 3 great receivers, and you have a tight end like Irv Smith Jr. out there, and you have a running back like Dalvin Cook, and you suddenly have a great offense on your hands. If you can get a good quarterback in the next round, I feel like if you can't select a guy that you would select here in the second or third round. So I don't know. I feel like it would make more sense for them to draft a guy here that's in the defensive line. For instance, it provided no pressure at all last year. So I feel like Azeez Ojulari would not be a bad pick for them here. What's their safety situation? Harrison Smith's very good, but Xavier Woods leaves a lot to be desired. So that Mo Rig guy from TCU would not be a bad pickup either. Rondale Moore would be nice to add. Darisaw would be nice to help protect whoever is going to be at quarterback, whether it's Cousins or anyways, we got the Vikings pick. Who'd they pick? Darisaw. Oh wait, no, Christian Barmore, defensive tackle. That's not a bad decision at all, in the slightest. Barmore is very solid. Oh wait, did they? Oh, never mind. I thought it was Barmore for some reason. No, it's Darisaw. No, this was a solid pick. I think a lot of their offensive linemen leave a lot to be desired. For instance, they selected Brian O'Neill a few years back. He leaves a lot to be desired, but Garrett Bradbury as well. But I feel like Darisaw is going to change that. He is such a great offensive tackle. I don't know if there's anyone left I really love that much. Running back would be a huge. We're going to talk about the Steelers a little bit. They're definitely an interesting team. So let's talk about them for a little bit. But I actually kind of like the selection here by the Vikings. Provide some protection for Kirk Cousins. I think you give him maybe one more year. If he doesn't get you to the playoffs, then he's gone. But I think you're picking too high to get a good good quarterback. Maybe I think you could select a guy in the second or third round, and if he outplays him, then so be it. But if I think I'd give Cousins one more year. But if he's outplayed, then that's fine. Oh, I forgot what the Pittsburgh Steelers were picking for some reason. Well, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. The pick is in for the Pittsburgh Steelers, so they're not trading back. They obviously had their guy picked out. So I think all around that the Pittsburgh Steelers have a very, very good roster build up. I would love to add an offensive lineman here, but I don't know if there's any one left that I really love. The receiving core is very solid. You have Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, James Washington, Ray McLeod. There's a lot of different players here that I like. Running back is a desperate need, and I think Najee Harris would make a lot of sense here. And that way I could show you all my Najee Harris film. I think Soph would love that. But I think offensive lineman wouldn't be a bad decision here. Defensive line's actually pretty solid with Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Stephon Tuitt. I understand TJ Watt's not a defensive lineman, but he basically is. Devin Bush is a great linebacker. Alex Highsmith plays very good defense. And then you have at the corner spot, Cameron Sutton, Joe Hayden also play very good. Terrell Edmonds and Minkah Fitzpatrick are both great safeties. I don't think you need to pick a safety here. I would love linebacker. I mean, I would love running back. A linebacker wouldn't be out of the question, in my opinion. Offensive line, Taven Jenkins is my pick here because I still think you can get a very good running back in the second round. I don't know that about offensive line. And the fact is you need to protect Big Ben Roethlisberger. He's not going to be running around for his life. It's just not going to work. I would have loved it if the Steelers picked a guy to help replace Big Ben Roethlisberger because let's be honest, I don't know if how many years he has left in him. I mean, Big Ben Roethlisberger's running on fumes at this point. I really like Big Ben, but his career's coming to an end, and I think that's okay. I think that's okay for everyone involved. Just like I was fine with when Drew retired. I think Steelers fans would be fine with Big Ben retiring, but the problem is Saints kind of had a succession plan. They either had Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston. I think that's fine. I think that's very good. I like both those guys. But the problem is Pittsburgh Steelers don't really have that. I mean, you have Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins. I would much rather have Mason Rudolph, by the way, as my starting quarterback. Let's see who they pick. I think Taven Jenkins would make sense here. Oh, Najee Harris. I'm not against this pick. I really like Najee Harris. I think, plus, I can show you some of his great film. I love Najee. Najee's one of my favorite running backs in the draft. I think he is my number one running back. I love ETN as well. They're both great running backs, but it's a pretty deep running back class, if I'm going to be honest. Jamar Jefferson, Najee Harris. I'm excited too, Jonah. Najee Harris is a great running back. He's a great up the middle back. He's really an all-around back. And let me show you some game film to prove it. Game film time. Bow, 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 bow. Game film time. Bow, bow, bow. Game film of Najee Harris. Okay, so this is a play. This is just a typical run to the outside for Najee Harris. And he gets the edge. No, it doesn't get the edge. See, not exactly. I thought he would get the edge, but his ability to move inside, his ball vision is amazing. He can see where he wants to go and where the holes are, because that's an amazing run. That's a very good, solid run from a good running back, and I really do like him. He's great. Adelaide, pop. Adelaide, pop, come here. Okay, time for some more game film. We're going to see some more catching. See, this is what I liked about the SEC championship game, is it really changed my opinion of, before I had Najee Harris as my number 2 back, because I really thought I thought he had a problem. His ability to catch, I thought, was lackluster. This game changed my mind on that. This isn't a huge play, but he caught it. He made a move afterwards. That's what you need to do in the NFL. Catch and then make a move. And I think that's something that I think he can bring to the table. I really am very, very excited to see how he does in the NFL. So this is another play that I've shown this play before. This was a Mac Jones highlight. But watch this. This is Najee Harris up at the top of the screen. He's going to stop like it's going to be a curl route. Number 11 comes over to cover him. And then he goes on this little angle route. It's perfect. It's a beautifully designed play, beautifully run route, by the way. And he runs through the contact for a 23-yard touchdown. That's amazing to me. That's a play that winners make. It's a winning play right there by Najee Harris. Let's go. Catches angle route for a 17-yard touchdown. So he catches a lot of touchdowns in this game. I think 3 or 4. This is another beautiful run angle route. I mean, if anyone who's ever played Madden knows this is a staple where the running back goes out and he goes in. It's an angle route. But he runs it so perfectly, this guy has no chance of tackling him. The only guy that has a chance is right here. And he goes through the contact and he reaches the ball out for a touchdown. It's a beautiful play, especially with such little time left on the clock. Okay? Because if you get tackled here, you can't run the ball. It's a lot of different things happen if you get tackled short of it because you're going to take a timeout. You might have to take a field goal, if I'm going to be honest. He's able to fight through that contact and get to that touchdown. That's an amazing play to me. Okay, let's go watch some more. Catches underneath route for a 14-yard gain. So he caught a lot of passes. That he wasn't amazing running the ball, but his ability, what he did. So this is why I am not sold on Mac Jones. Watch this play for full extent. He just kind of stands back there. He just kind of is like chilling around back in the pocket. He has to deal with no pressure whatsoever. And then he just kind of goes, do a little dump off pass to Najee Harris, who in his own right, he blocked, he ran out, he did a lot on this play, and he did a very good job on it, and that's why I really love Najee Harris. The reason I say only one guy can make the tackle, like only one guy could make the tackle short of the first down marker is what I meant. Only one guy, he had the guy behind him then. So then the only guy that can really, there's only 2 guys left that could tackle him, and that was at the goal line, and he was able to run through those tackles. That's why I was impressed with him. Okay, so this is a big play because remember, this is the 4th quarter. They are only up by 4, right? So this is where you kind of rely on your run game, and this is where Najee Harris really took over this game. And the offense, boom! Look at that hurdle. That is so beautiful to me. Beautiful play by Najee Harris. His ability to hurdle. By the way, you saw that display on the Notre Dame college football playoff game. Absolutely amazing hurdle right there by Najee. And that's what I like, his speed and burst and his ability to run through tackles. But we're going to watch another runs to the outside for a 9-yard gain because I remember this play individually, and I remember thinking this is a great run. Watch this. He should be down here, but he's not. He's able to run through the tackle, fights. Honestly, he could have been stopped right here, but he's able to fight through Florida defenders and get right here, which in my opinion is an amazing run. He's able to run through all those defenders. Amazing play by Najee. And this is just a 1-yard touchdown, not a huge play, but again, they're not going to call it originally touchdown, but it will be overturned. He ends up reaching that ball out across the goal line. I don't feel like really watching all of that with you guys, but it's a very long process, but he does end up getting the touchdown there. And then this is the one where, again, they're only up by 7 points. They kind of need to keep chewing clock here, and this is what Najee does. He absolutely breaks off a huge one, bounces it to the outside. He knows what to do, and then boom, that could have been a called hold on the wide receiver, but still, great play by Najee. And let's see, Jaguars are picking at Derek. Derek, bring me Adelaide.
Okay.
The fans want Adelaide. Excuse me. Jaguars pick is. We'll talk a little bit about the Jaguars depth chart real quick. Okay, Jacksonville Jaguars depth chart. Let's talk about it for a little bit. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is now going to be the starting quarterback in Jacksonville, and I think that's actually a good thing.
Sweet, tired little baby.
Oh, Pop.
She is literally not moving and unwilling to do so.
It's okay, Pop. Yay!
She just wants to go over there, Eli, and sleep. I'm going to set up your phone. I'm going to set up your phone, Eli. It's at 97%.
Okay. No, you can see that's the thing. Like, I love Najee Harris, but again, he was running through Florida's defense. So I mean, I can't really make it seem like that was a challenge. Florida's defense was absolute garbage this year. The only defense worth a lick, by the way, in the SEC was it was only Georgia. Georgia's defense was the only defense absolute worth anything. They absolutely sucked. Every other defense was absolute garbage. But let's talk about Jacksonville for a little bit. See, I think a defensive player would make a lot of sense here. A safety makes so much sense. Derek, I decide whether you're on the stream or not, Derek. Did they take ETN? Oh, they took ETN. Oh, that's stupid. That's a bad decision. Bad decision. Bad.
I'm gonna turn this off so it no longer.
What are you doing? I switched the camera.
I'm turning off the volume, Eli.
That is honestly the worst. That was a bad decision. I cannot say how bad of a decision.
It's working?
Okay, well, it is lagging pretty
Oh
significantly.
yeah, that's because it has to go there to their house.
That's true.
So now
This was a bad choice.
Let's go.
I mean, not because I hate ETN. I actually think he's a very solid running back, but why? Explain to me why Jacksonville needed a running back. This was their depth chart. James Robinson, Carlos Hyde, both very solid running backs. Ask anyone who had James Robinson in the fantasy league last year, me, and ask a Seahawks fan how good Carlos Hyde was last year. How solid of an addition he was to that Seahawks team when Chris Carson got hurt. Just ask any one of those people, and you'll know that these were both very solid players. Why? And explain to me why you needed to draft Travis Etienne. Explain to me, because there's so many other positions you could address. You could address the fact that that you don't have a good safety. The fact that your starting safety is Rayshon Jenkins and Jared Wilson. You could address that fact with Trayvon Mowray. You could have addressed the fact. You know what? We're gonna go back to the normal camera. Hello. Okay, so yay. Bow. Wow. Yeah, I was gonna use my phone, but it's just working with the computer. It's working fine. I don't need to change it. But I don't know about you guys. That was a stupid pickup. I think that was a stupid draft pick. You had so many different players that you could have drafted there. You could have drafted that Jeremiah Owusu guy, that linebacker. You desperately need a linebacker. You could definitely. It's just a bad choice. Bad choices. Not because Travis Etienne's bad, but because you don't need him. And you could have used so many different positions there. Bad. But, you know, you gotta do. Jacksonville is just a bad organization in general. Hi, Adelaide. What do you think of that pick? Pepper says, the Jags suck. I hate them because they stole away my Trevor Lawrence pick. Oh, baby. You need to hold a grudge. There we go, baby. Can't see it now, though. Come on, Popo. There you go. They can see you now, baby. Oh, baby. Let's see. Oh, I could do a Travis Etienne game. I'll do a Travis Etienne game. Bow. Screen. Where would it be? It would be in the... Okay, let's watch some Travis Etienne plays. Travis Etienne. Yeah. Travis Etienne. Wait, no, dang it. Hide. Travis Etienne. Yeah, Travis Etienne. Yeah, Travis Etienne. Yeah, Travis Etienne. He has 3 touchdowns in this game, by the way. And this was one of the worst. It was not a great game in his career. It was a game that was forgettable, except for 3 plays and 3 touchdowns that were very important to them winning this game. But outside of that, this was a very forgettable game for ETN. But he's able to. This is a nice cut. It's a very nice cut to get back inside. That should have been a tackle for loss. That should have been a forced field goal by Ohio State. This is a turning point in the game, by the way. If they force him to field goal here, Ohio State's very much still in control of that ball game, and it likely never goes out of hand for Ohio State. So this is also a huge play for him. This screen pass. This is why I really love him as a prospect. His ability, his catching ability, and just look at it. That's such a beautiful play. And I mean, it's not like it's all on ETN. There was some very good blocks there, but his ability to avoid the first tackler at the beginning is very important. And let's watch one more before I talk about who the Browns picked. Yeah. Put it just like that. See, look at this is such a huge play, too. Look how clutch this guy comes up. It's 23-21, by the way, with fourth quarter, with 1 minute and 49 seconds left on the clock, and he takes this pass all the way for a touchdown. Very, very much a clutch play by Travis Etienne. And they take my guy, Greg Newsome. I wanted him. I wanted to take Greg Newsome. I laid to one of my Saints to get dumb. Okay, that really went all the way back around now, didn't it? But Adelaide, that's who I wanted. That's who I wanted the team to pick. Dang Browns, I hate you, Browns. God, you suck. I wanted Greg Newsome, Adelaide. I wanted him. Why did they have to go grab him? I wanted him. So let's talk about the Browns for a second, I guess. Browns selected Greg Newsome. I guess that makes sense. I'm upset, though. I really, really wanted Greg Newsome. Like, you do not know how much I really needed Greg Newsome. Because, I mean, oh my God, we lost out on all the starting corners. Oh, we can still take Asante Samuel Jr., honestly, but I honestly would rather take Jeremiah Owusu, whatever his face is, because he slipped all the way down to us. And as long as the Ravens don't pick him, good. I think that's enough of the highlights. I think that actually did all the highlights, all the players, except for Rondale Moore. As long as Rondale Moore isn't selected in the first round, those are all the people that I did. So you don't have to worry yet. So as long as the Ravens don't take Rondale Moore, or one of the last few people do. But why did the Browns select Greg Newsome? And it's not that difficult to understand. It's the fact that Denzel Ward is the only good starting corner. They drafted Grady Williams, but I don't know if he's actually going to turn into what they want, because he didn't do anything last year. But they're going to move Troy Hill probably back to a nickelback role and end up starting Greg Newsome. Greg Newsome was very solid in Northwestern last year. I think this is actually a Browns team that should be respected and should be actually feared by a lot of the teams. They have guys like Myles Garrett, and it's just Denzel Ward, Jadeveon Clowney. Actually, Jadeveon Clowney's not that scary of a player anymore. They could have used the linebacker, if I'm going to be honest. They do not have the best linebackers. But the corner was not a bad decision. Greg Newsome's a very solid corner. I think it's going to make a lot of sense in Cleveland. The offensive line's pretty good for Baker Mayfield. The offense is actually really good. Rashad Higgins is a very solid number 3 wide receiver, not to mention OBJ and Jarvis Landry. Donovan Peoples-Jones is also a very good depth wide receiver, not to mention the tight end core of Austin Hooper, Harrison Bryant, and David Njoku. I would really like the Bills to get Owa, if I'm going to be honest. I think they should actually take him if it slips to him. Honestly, the Ravens. Let's talk about the Ravens for a little bit because I think you need to talk about the Ravens at this point. Let's talk about the Ravens. Let's talk about the mail. So Lamar Jackson is obviously going to be the starting quarterback. I think honestly, you have a pretty good idea of who the quarterbacks are going to be next year. I think Trace McSorley is going to end up being the backup quarterback, which I think is very exciting for Penn State fans. J.K. Dobbins is a very good running back. I don't think you need a new guy. Wide receiver, it's an interesting issue. I think Hollywood Brown is a very fast, very quick receiver, but I don't know if you could. Obviously, you could use some. Sammy Watkins is the definition of a possession receiver. He's going to do a great job there in that role, in my opinion. The real question of these later guys is Miles Boykin going to step up? I haven't seen enough out of him, if I'm going to be honest. But I'm excited for guys like Devin Duvernay and James Prochet. I've met James Prochet in person, and he's one of the nicest people you could ever hope to meet. He is a fantastic man. He's great. He's nice, and he was one of the nicest people I've ever met at the Senior Bowl. He's up there with Hunter Renfrow level of nice, which is amazing. Hunter Renfrow is easily the nicest person I've ever met, by the way, at the Senior Bowl, or really in a lot of different places. He was so humble, and he was so great to talk to, honestly. But Devin Duvernay is one of my favorite players. He went to Texas, if you did not know, and Devin Duvernay, honestly, owned a lot of people, and he is a great slot receiver, and I'm really excited to see if they use him more in the offense moving forward. So wide receiver would not be off the. It's not insane to think that they might select a wide receiver here like Rondale Moore. Offensive line seems pretty solid. You just traded away some guys, so I wouldn't think that a guy like offensive lineman from Oklahoma State, I'm forgetting his name, he's not out of the question either. Defensive lineman I think it's kind of a need at this point. Derek Wolfe is very solid. Derek Wolfe is a pretty good pass rusher, and so is Calais Campbell, but those guys are both at the end of their careers, not the beginning. I think you kind of need to get a better guy. Okay, so Tyus Bowser, he's a decent pass rusher, but again, he plays linebacker. Patrick Queen's a good young guy. Jalen Ferguson's starting, and that's interesting to see, but I don't know how good he's going to be. And LJ Fort did decent at the beginning of last year. So I don't think linebackers are dire need at this point. Safety is not. Safety's pretty decent. I don't know what I'm talking about. Chuck Clark and Sean Elliott are both definitely decent, and Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters are both very solid. I don't know. I gotta say, I would love defensive lineman if I'm the Ravens. If I'm a Ravens fan, defensive lineman wouldn't kill me, and then a linebacker like Jeremiah Owusu, whatever his face is, and then an offensive lineman, that a guy from Oklahoma State, will also be pretty good. See, the thing is about Owa, he did not produce at Penn State, and I agree. And it's really kind of annoying. The power, the I know Bowser. Actually, weirdly enough, that's what. Oh, they picked. Oh wait, they did not select Elijah Moore. Okay, never mind. I thought they selected Elijah Moore. That popped up on the screen. They did not select him. They have not selected anyone yet. But yes, I remember Bowser. We played. When Derek and I were playing Madden, I think Madden 18, we were the Ravens, and he would always play as Tyus Bowser because it reminded him of Mario. But back to the Owa question, I really love Owa just because of his speed, his athleticism. He's just the problem is I don't think he got the training properly. He's in Penn State. I feel like if he can do that, if they team that gets him with a good training staff like the Bills, they can definitely transfer him into a great player who the Ravens going to select. Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota makes sense. This is honestly a good pick. I think I would have liked. I think Rondale Moore is a better player, but honestly, they have speed there. They have Marquise Brown. They have Devin Duvernay. They have James Prochet. They don't have size, and I think that's what Rashad Bateman brings. I think that's what Rashad Bateman's really good at, if I'm going to be honest, is his ability to go up and get the ball. So it's my Saints' turn. Oh, and I'm excited to see who we get. Oh, my God, please do not take Kyle Trask or Davis Mills. See, I agree, Jonah. This thing is, I really love Rondale Moore. I cannot overstate how much I love Rondale Moore, but it's just I don't know if he would have. See, the Ravens have speedy guys. As I said before, Marquise Brown is super fast. And you have Devin Duvernay is also very fast. And you have James Prochet, also very fast. I mean, they have the fast and covered. It's true. They basically have a running back, quarterback. But the thing is with the Ravens, they need a guy that can go up and get the ball. And I think that's what Miles Boykin was supposed to be. He's not that. He has done absolutely nothing at the wide receiver spot since I've seen him start playing. I think that Devin Duvernay and James Prochet both deserve more playing time, in my opinion, than he does. I think Rashad Bateman is definitely a very interesting choice, and I really do like the choice of Rashad Bateman. He's gonna. I really love Rondale Moore, so I really do like him. I didn't understand that this was supposed to be a sarcastic comment. I really do like Rondale Moore. He is a very fast player, and as soon as someone picks Rondale Moore, I can get to show highlights. I can get to show my my time investment into watching all of the Rondale Moore game film against Ohio State. But let's talk about the Saints for a second. They're my team, so I have to talk about them. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the Saints here for a second. The New Orleans Saints. There's a lot of things that I would love to fix about my New Orleans Saints, but let's just focus on a couple right now, okay? So just straight off the bat, as you can see, the need at linebacker is pretty huge. I don't know who the heck Andrew Dowell is, but I don't know on him starting on my linebacker core. So obviously Jeremiah Owusu, whatever the heck his face is, would be ideal in this starting position. But honestly, it could be either Chase Hansen or Caden Ellis. Either of those people could both start at linebacker. But okay, so right now, corner is also a huge thing. I know they list Chauncey as a corner, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's not a corner. I'd love him, but he's not a corner. He's a safety. Right now, if the season was to start today, we probably would start Chauncey at corner, honestly, but it's not ideal. I don't want to start Chauncey at corner. It's not what I want to do personally. So corner wouldn't be a bad hero. Asante Samuel Jr. is still there, but I don't really want him. Ideally, I think we pick Jeremiah Owusu, Koromawa. Aziz Olujari is not a horrible idea. I see that somewhere. Rondale Moore's bad. It's a bad idea, and I'll explain to you why. We don't need a wide receiver. And if you look at I know a lot of people are going back. We have Michael Thomas. Can't guard Mike, right? He is an amazing, amazing receiver. He's not. They're not trading back. Calm down. But he's an amazing receiver. But the real question is who's going to line up inside him. And I think, honestly, we found some steals at undrafted drafted free agents in the past few years. Deontay Harris, I think, is ready to start. I think that Marquez Callaway is one of my favorite possession receivers in the NFL right now. I think he proved himself last year with us. And then we have Traquan Smith, who he's nothing flashy, but he gets the job done at wide receiver. You have to on. I actually want to give Lil Jordan Humphrey a chance because Lil is when he has gotten onto the field, he has shined. And then not to mention Juwan. Juwan's an interesting case because he has the size, he has the speed, but he drops so many balls. And I'm like, Juwan. But I really don't want a new receiver. I think a receiver is a waste of a pick, especially with their absolute woes at linebacker. At linebacker, we need desperate help. Desperate help. Outside of Demario Davis, Zach Bond was a guy we drafted in the third round last year out of Wisconsin. I kind of want to see him start, but I also want to not have Andrew Dowell start. So I'd rather not hit. Well, actually, see, the thing is with the Saints is they don't start three linebackers. They just don't. We normally go with we have a nickel set is what we always run with. 4 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs. We normally run with we ran with last year Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus Williams, Malcolm Jenkins, Chauncey, and Janoris Jenkins, right? So this year it's going to be a little bit different without Janoris Jenkins, but if we take a corner like Asante Samuel Jr. here, I think honestly Asante Samuel Jr. is my Asante Samuel Jr. or Jeremiah Owusu, whatever his face is. And then also Jason Owa wouldn't be a bad decision here. Actually, no, it would be a bad decision. I want either a defensive tackle. See, defensive end, I think is fine. We have Cam Jordan and Marcus Davenport. And then not to mention we have a good depth guy with Tano Capacignon. The fact is, defensive tackle worries me because David Onyemata's a great player. They call him the Manitoba Mauler for a reason. But I'm going to put on the Saints jersey, by the way. We're going to put on my guy. Where's Drew? Drew. That's Michael Thomas. That's Alvin Kamara. Where's Drew's jersey? Drew. Drew. I hope this doesn't mean that they sell. I hope this does not curse us and make us select a quarterback, but I kind of had to put on my Drew jersey. Drew is my favorite quarterback of all time, best QB of all time. I love Drew more than I love life. I could honestly see us taking defensive end. Oh, wait, never mind. Did we? Did we actually do that? Oh, no. Please don't tell me. Yeah, I thought that was a joke. No. No. Well, it says the pick is in, but it's not telling me what the pick is. Well, oh my God, I hate my team. How? Oh my God. What are we doing? I feel like Tom Grossi when the Packers selected Jordan Love. They do realize we still have Marcus Davenport, right? They do realize that right now on our starting lineup, freaking a guy named Andrew Dowell, who I've never heard of, is in it. I could kill. I mean, I kind of have to trust them because of what they've done recently over the years, but they do understand a linebacker was there, right? A linebacker. A really good linebacker in a Jeremiah Owusu. It's an absolute travesty in New Orleans. What are we doing? Absolutely, what are we doing? If this doesn't work out, I'm going to be so mad. Like, either they have to be a genius, and I have to hope they're a genius. I have to hope they're really, really smart. Or I'm gonna be absolutely furious because I know for a fact Jeremiah was whatever the heck his name is, and Asante Samuel Jr. was right there. They were right there. They were right there for us to pick. They were right there so Chauncey wouldn't have to move from safety to corner. But you know what? We could always just randomly draft a defensive end from Houston named Payton Turner. Oh my God. Oh my God. Kill me. Oh my God. I have to hope we do better on day 2 and day 3. I just have to hope that. Why draft a defensive end? Just explain to me that was not a position of concern. Not a position of concern. Not a position of concern at all. Like, I would be less mad if we drafted a quarterback or a receiver right now. That's how mad I am at this moment. Like, if we had drafted Rondale Moore, I would have been like, we don't really need a wide receiver. Why are we wasting a pick on that? But it would have added something to something. We're drafting Payton Turner, a guy from Houston, by the way. Last time we drafted a defensive end from a small college, it was Marcus Davenport, okay? And if we're not believing in Marcus Davenport, why are we drafting another guy from a small college to play defensive end that we're going to have to train for a year? Absolutely pathetic. Whoever's in charge of selecting, I don't know. I can't fire them because of what they've done over the years, but God, I'm so mad. I honestly, I would rather be any other team's fan right now because they've at least made smart, reasonable decisions. Even the Bengals made a reasonable decision drafting Jamar Chase. This is insane. This is an absolute bonkers move. Absolute weird as heck draft decision. and I'm not here for it. I got to talk about the Packers because I am so disappointed in my Saints right now. That makes sense. Actually, as soon as we get rid of Drew Brees, our team's going to go down the hole. And actually, I knew that, but I didn't realize it would be the draft where I would realize that. That's so sad. It's so sad to me right now. Packers should draft. They should draft Asante Samuel Jr. I hope they don't. Because if you look at, we got a C. I don't know how we got that high of a grade for drafting Payton Turner. We should have drafted goddamn F. That's what we should have gotten for drafting Payton Turner. Okay, they drafted Eric Stokes from Georgia. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better about myself. But at least they addressed a concern. They addressed an issue of need. They addressed cornerback, which makes sense, right? Actually, no. I'm a Packers fan. I'd be absolutely furious with this. What are you doing? What are you doing? Honestly, Rondale Moore is there, right? Rondale Moore is there for you to give an absolute threat to Aaron Rodgers. You know Aaron Rodgers is upset. So why make him more upset by drafting a cornerback instead of a wide receiver? I'd give him a weapon. Because be honest, at this point, Devontae Adams is it. I mean, Alan Lazard and Marquez Valdes-Scantling, they've both provide decent amount of health this year. But you're telling me that Aaron Rodgers wouldn't love to have Rondale Moore to play with? Because honestly, at least they addressed an issue of concern, right? Not Saints. Saints didn't do that. Why would we address defensive end? Why would we address defensive end? We need linebacker. We need a corner. Those are our two positions of need. We even need a defensive tackle more than we need a defensive end. We have two starters. What we just drafted was a depth guy. You draft depth guys when you have good starters at every position. We don't have good starters at every position. We needed a linebacker. We needed a corner. But no, why would we do that when we could just, I don't know, draft a random ass defensive end out of Houston? Why would we actually think about what we should draft when we could just randomly roll the dice on a random but defensive end from Houston? I'm not going to calm down, okay? My Saints are the most idiotic franchise ever. They don't make good, smart decisions. This is stupid. I honestly am so mad right now at my team. I got to talk about the Bills. I mean, honestly, I knew my Saints were going to have a rough year, but gosh dang, why would we draft a defensive end when we have two decent starters? Explain to me that. Explain. We should have the lowest draft. We should have the lowest grade of this entire dang report. We do, by the way. Actually, no. The Niners have a lower grade. At least they drafted someone where you can believe in, right? You can believe that Trey Lance is the future of your franchise. We drafted defensive end for absolutely no reason. We didn't draft him for any good reason, that's for sure. What are we doing in New Orleans? Explain to me what we are doing. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. Okay, so what do the Bills need? Obviously, defensive end is a huge need. Mario Addison and Jerry Hughes are both at the end of their career. I think that's definitely what they're going to go for here. Linebacker wouldn't be stupid with Jeremiah Owusu, whatever the heck is still on the board, but Saints passed him up for a random defensive end from Houston, so obviously not that great. Corner wouldn't be a stupid decision here. Go with Asante Samuel Jr. I think Azeez Ojulari or Jason Owa. I mean, for goodness sakes, I would rather have Jason Owa on my team. I would even understand that pick because I've seen Owe play. And I know the strength and power he has and the speed. And I know that he, if we train him right, can become a great defensive end. But dang, no. Why would we do that when we can just be the most insane people ever? We could just, I don't know, do random stuff during the draft. I think you got to go with Azeez Ojulari, Jason Owa or you got to add a linebacker. Because I feel like you're good enough in every other position or a corner. I think getting another corner to run outside of Tre'Davious White wouldn't be a bad decision. I think it's actually a good, smart decision. Let's see who they pick. I think honestly, it's going to be interesting. I think that's to say the very least. There's only 3 picks left. I hope you guys are excited coming down the stretch. I think Rondale Moore is going to fall in the Bucs' lap. If I'm going to be honest, it's going to be really interesting. I think the Bucs are just going to get probably the biggest steal at wide receiver in a long time. I really do like Rondale Moore, but I think the Bills got to go defensive line here or corner. You got to get either a running mate for Tre'Davious White or try to get someone who can provide pass rush. I mean, you're going to go against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. You got to have someone who can get after the quarterback. And right now, you don't have that person. And I think you kind of have to draft to try to get it. See, I understand putting Rondale Moore on the opposite side of Stephon Diggs does make a lot of sense. But the thing is, you also have to remember about that game is Cole Beasley, who's one of their better receivers, had a broken leg during that game. And so that was another reason why they could just not worry about they just didn't have to worry about Cole Beasley. I understand that you would want to try. The fact is, you have a decent receiving core. If you look at it, you have Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, and Gabriel Davis. By the way, Gabriel Davis was not healthy for the postseason, for most of it at least. So you're going to add him into the mix. Not to mention Isaiah McKenzie is also a very good threat in the passing game. I think Rondale Moore I think you can find a better receiver later in the draft class because it's a deep class. Defensive ends are just hard to come by. I think it would make a lot of sense to go defensive end here. And that's what they do. Gregory Rousseau from Miami. He wasn't on my list, but I completely forgot about him. It's a very solid selection by the Bills. He's a good pass rusher from Miami. I do like Rousseau. I honestly, we're almost done here. 2 more picks. The Ravens, Rondale Moore is going to end up in the hands, just the open hands of the Buccaneers, and it's actually kind of funny. I think this is. See, the thing is about the Bucs is they return every single starter from their Super Bowl team, it's going to be really tough to go against them. Honestly, it's going to be insanely difficult, right? Yeah, I understand that, but a possession receiver like Cole Beasley is important, and I think that's the reason why they could focus just on Stephon Diggs. They didn't have to worry about Cole Beasley just sitting under. He definitely could. I 100% agree with that. Revolutionize your return game, 1,000%. But I think that's why they selected defensive end Gregory Rousseau is because you want to beat Mahomes, you're going to have to get after him, and you can't just let Mahomes sit in the pocket all day. I think they have a better chance of trying to get a guy at a free agency like a wide receiver, picking up a guy like I think a slot receiver could really help them, and especially in the later rounds. And that's why I said Rondale Moore could be sitting around in the second round, and you could try to trade up and get him. But it's not just Rondale Moore. If you look at the big board for wide receivers, it's interesting. There's a lot of good players there at wide receiver. I wish I could find it. Dang it. I hate some things sometimes. Prospect rankings. We'll look at that. See, let's just talk about wide receivers real quick. And I think once we talk about wide receivers that are going to be still available, I mean, for goodness sakes, you still have players like Elijah Moore, Terrence Marshall, obviously Rondale Moore. You have this guy from Western Michigan who's very solid, to Tylan Wallace from Oklahoma State. You also have the Sage Surratt guy from Wake Forest, Diami Brown from North Carolina, Daz Newsome from North Carolina. There's a lot of great players that you're going to be able to get later on in the draft, especially of the Seth Williams guy from Auburn, also very solid. All these guys are very solid players, by the way. And I think there is a bigger, the wide receiver class is more deep than the defensive end class, which is why I think you go defensive end, which is why I think the Buffalo Bills went defensive end as well. Adelaide, you've fallen down the crack. We shall get you out of that crack. You've come out from the crevice. Hi, Adelaide says. I think if you're the Ravens, let's talk about the Ravens for a little bit. The addition of Rashad Bateman means you aren't going to add Rondale Moore. You don't spend 2 first-round draft picks on wide receivers. You just don't do it, especially when you have a need at edge rusher. An edge rusher would be huge for them, or defensive tackle. But I feel like defensive tackle is not that deep, and I think you could switch an edge rusher to defensive tackle better than you can switch a defensive tackle to edge rusher. The fact is, Elise Ojari is sitting right there for them to take. So is Jason Owa. Both of them are very solid picks, and picks I would make if I was that. Jeremiah Owusu, whatever the heck his name is, also very solid. And you would also want someone to protect Lamar Jackson's running lanes. I mean, you're not going to want to protect him because he is not going to run. I mean, he's not going to throw, but Azeez Ojulari, I like both these players. I think they both would be very solid pickups for the Baltimore Ravens. See, I think that's what the Bucs get to do. They have the luxury of picking whoever the heck they want because they have every starter. I think they can just take whoever they want. Yeah, I get your point about taking a guy to replace Tom Brady. But then here's also this other thing. No one's good enough to be drafted in the first round anymore. And I think you can land a guy. I think one of 3 players will be available at the end of the second round. You can either get Kyle Trask, you can get Kellen Mond, or you can get Davis Mills. All those guys, you can try and replace Tom Brady with them. And I think just right now, though, Buccaneers are just on this pure, we're going to win as many Super Bowls as humanly possible, and that's what we're going to spend all our picks to get. I think that's what Rondale Moore is going to do. Because if you look at the roster, let's just skip to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just for just a second. We'll come back to the Ravens. But if you look at this roster, well, listen to these starters. Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Donovan Smith, Ali Marpet, Ryan Jensen, Alex Kappa, Tristan Wirfs. On the defense, you have Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea, William Golston, JPP, Devin White, Levante David, Shaq Barrett, Carlton Davis, Antoine Winfield Jr., Jordan Whitehead, and Sean Murphy-Bunting. That's your starters on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All of them are returning. Every single one of them that started in the Super Bowl will be returning this year. Not to mention you have depth, like Ronald Jones II at running back. You have Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson at wide receiver. You have O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate at tight end. You have Jamel Dean at cornerback. There's some depth there. And I think you can make the case of drafting a safety like Chavon Morig to replace Jordan Whitehead, or you can make a case of drafting a defensive end to try and replace William Golston. But regardless, all these guys are very solid starters. And I think that's the problem. They can draft whoever they want just for pure depth reasons. But the Ravens have their pick in. I'm excited. I honestly don't know who it's going to be. I think it's got to be a defensive end. Just with their pure need for a defensive end, you have Rashad Bateman. As they just pointed, they updated the depth chart. He is supposed to be one of the starting wide receivers come September. He will be starting alongside Marquise Hollywood Brown and Sammy Watkins. But I think you either have to go one of three directions. You either have to draft an offensive lineman to help protect Lamar. You either have to do that, or you can draft a defensive end to help get after quarterbacks. Like, I mean, you're gonna have to get after quarterbacks. Like, you're the division's going to be Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, and Big Ben Roethlisberger. There are no slacks in those three. So you're going to have to get after them. And I don't know if Derek Wolfe and Clay, they can do it, but only if they're healthy. And I don't know if they will be healthy because they are old defensive ends. So I think you have to go defensive end, or you can protect Lamar Jackson, or you can provide a linebacker. I don't know if linebacker is the biggest need with the guys like L.J. Ford and Patrick Queen and Tyus Bowser and Jalen Ferguson. I think Ferguson needs to go. I think you need to try and replace him. But outside of that, I think there's definitely some – I think you got to go either protect Lamar, protect that quarterback that you drafted in the first round, drafted 32 overall, guy that's gotten you to the playoffs 3 straight years. Although he is, 1-3 as a starting quarterback in the playoffs. Obviously, it's not ideal. But, no, I agree. Roethlisberger. See, the thing is, I don't think it was on Roethlisberger the way they played last year. Wait, let's see. Jason Owa, Penn State. Let's go, my guy. Baltimore Ravens. It's not a wasted pick. It was a smart move. Smart move by the Ravens to take Owa. He provides some good edge rush. I think I'm going to be excited to see how they try and turn him into a good edge rusher. I think they can do it. I think it's going to be interesting to be short. Last pick, though. So who are the Bucs going to take? There's so many options. You just can add depth. Honestly, you can just add depth with this pick if you were the Bucs. Honestly, Trayvon Moehrig would be a decent pick. Honestly, I don't understand how he hasn't been picked yet. You add serious depth with that pick, by the way. I think we can all agree that. But I don't know. I don't know what to do if I'm a Bucs fan. I mean, like, it's kind of it's a great scenario to be in where you don't know what to do because every single one of your players is great. Every single one of your starters is great, at least. And that kind of is it's a play. It's something I'm jealous of. I used to have it as a Saints fan where I didn't really need to worry about my players sucking next year, or we needed this guy to take over. Normally, our first-round draft picks would take over, like Cesar Ruiz, but I mean, it wasn't really a huge need, and that's the thing. I'm kind of excited though. I really am excited to see what the Bucs do here. I'm excited to see what the Jacksonville Jaguars do next round. They definitely have some needs on defense. I think they should address. Although maybe that Travis Etienne pick isn't as insane as I thought, because it looks like I think that Trayvon Moehrig guy for TCU is going to slide right to them at 33 as long as the Bucs don't pick him, which I could see them picking it. But I honestly think it's going to slide right to him. And then Jacksonville's definitely going to have a choice. They could decide to go offense. The problem is they've gone offense this entire time. But I think it's going to be interesting. The Jacksonville Jaguars need some help defensively, but I think drafting a safety would be very helpful. And I think if you're basically a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, you're just hoping they don't take Trayvon Moehrig here so you can get him in the second round, which is ideal, honestly. You get Trayvon Moehrig in the second round, bang, dude. Bang. You get to spend less money on him. You're not tied to him for 4 years. You're just tied to him for 3. And that is the weirdest pick. Weird pick. Weird pick. Yeah, depth to your linebacker spot, which I'm looking at it for the Bucs. Like, didn't really need to add depth to a linebacker spot. You had JPP, Devin White, Lavonte David, and Shaq Barrett. I understand JPP's coming up on the end of his career, so maybe that's what they wanted to do. But I thought they were just going pure a future is now kind of thing. We're going to try and get this Super Bowl. And I thought that's why everyone was coming. But maybe I'm wrong. I have no clue what's happening in Tampa. But that is the end of the first round. I hope you guys are excited. I think I might do this again tomorrow. Don't hold me to that. it took a lot out of me. But talking for just straight, well, at this point, 4 hours. But everybody, this is GGB, ending the stream. GGB and Coles for saying adios, amigos, and hope we see you tomorrow.